So the NBA just agreed upon a new CBA, which stands for the Collective Bargaining Agreement. The CBA is essentially the contractual agreement between the owners and the players concerning how the league will operate and concerning how the revenue will be split amongst the league. This new CBA goes into effect next season and is scheduled to last for 7 years, unless they will use their mutual opt-out clause in year 6. The best news to come from this is that the NBA won't have a lockout, so we get to keep enjoying basketball. A lockout happens when the players and owners can't come to an agreeable conclusion for a new CBA, which means basketball games can't be played until they do. It's why we had a 66-game season in 2012 and a 50-game season in 1999. Fortunately, we won't have to worry about that happening again, at least for another 6 years. Now there is a lot of changes and adjustments in this new CBA, and I won't be covering everything in this video, but rather the biggest changes that stand out to me. First off, the NBA is establishing a minimum requirement of 65 games played in the regular season in order for a player to be eligible for an award, or for an All-NBA team selection. Most of us seem to be assuming that the league is doing this as a way to combat load management. I appreciate the fact that we're at least open to doing things to discourage load management. But let's be real here, this is such a soft approach by the league, as this requirement accomplishes basically nothing. Let me explain. Although it sounds nice to require a player to play at least 65 regular season games in order to win an award, this was basically already an unwritten rule amongst the league voters. In NBA history, there has been a total of 51 82-game seasons, and in all of those seasons, only one time did a player win MVP while playing less than 65 games, which was Bill Walton in 1978. Only twice has that been done for the Rookie of the Year, twice for the Defensive Player of the Year, once for the Most Improved Player, and twice for the Sixth Man of the Year. Another way of putting it is that in 82-game seasons, the player who wins the award plays at least 65 games 96.1% of the time. Like I said, this minimum requirement basically changes nothing within the league, but it's a way for the league to claim that they're battling load management without actually doing anything significant to discourage load management. It's basically a virtue signaling politician-type move by the NBA. Here's something else to consider. Last year, the average team played roughly 13 back-to-backs throughout the season, meaning they played a basketball game on 2 consecutive evenings, an average of 13 times. This new minimum would allow a player to miss the second game of every single back-to-back that season and miss an additional 4 games on top of that, and he would still be eligible to win the MVP award. How does that do anything to discourage load management? A 65-game minimum shows that they really don't care about load managing. A 70-game minimum would have at least showed that they're taking the issue seriously, and a 75-game minimum would have proved that they have zero tolerance for load managing. Alas, this is what we got. A requirement that some people are celebrating, but the real ones know that it pretty much accomplishes nothing. Another change is that all NBA selections are now a positionless award. Honestly, this seems like a solid decision in my opinion, as the various positions in basketball start to blend together as the game evolves. It makes sense to award the best players simply for their abilities and production regardless of their position. You also have to consider how so many players are constantly changing positions throughout the season, so it can be difficult to decide where to place each player from a strict position standpoint. Now, the 3 All-NBA teams will essentially represent the top 5 players in the league, the top 10 players in the league, and the top 15 players in the league. This should make the debates all the more exciting and will stir up even more conversations during the deciding period. The thing that people are talking about the most though is the mid-season tournament that starts up around winter. As far as I can tell, we only have a few details about how the tournament will actually work, so I'm trying to stop myself from jumping to any strong conclusions until we know the full details. But I gotta be honest, this seems like a gimmick and I have a hard time picturing it going well with audiences. For as long as I've been alive, the single most important goal to start every NBA season was to win the championship. Modern players already don't care about every single event they come up with during All-Star Weekend, so why should we expect this one to be any different? At first, I had concerns about players load managing these tournament games, seeing how modern players don't want to play more games, but less games. But apparently, these tournament games will be naturally baked into the regular season games, which kind of makes me wonder, how is this going to make things any different? And how are those usual regular season games any more important? Ultimately, I'm more skeptical about the league changes than anything else. I'll gladly admit if I was wrong if the NBA product has improved in the next year or two. Honestly, I just don't see how this is it. So what do you guys think? Which part of the new CBA are you the most excited or disappointed about? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.